But why do you think it is you're not believing in yourself? That's one of the things. A lot of the times we don't even realize it, but it can come from a past experience. Maybe it's something that happened to you in the past. It could be a past traumatic thing that happened to you. It could be anything. It could be a car accident, a death in the family. Of course, we're always talking about domestic abuse, sexual abuse. It could be a natural disaster. Maybe you witnessed something that was traumatic. And what's happening now is that everyone is slowing down a bit because we're all in quarantine. Moms and dads, you don't have to rush around, take the kids everywhere because they're home. You don't have to rush off to work because a lot of people are home. And even if you do have to rush off to work, when you come back, the kids are still around. So you're not taking them off to the sports things. So you're slowing down a bit. And when you slow down, your mind starts to wander. Your mind starts to think, and you go into this kind of defensive mode. So that's what's happening to a lot of people, and that's why you're getting that doubt. You start thinking about past things that maybe have happened to you. So those are some of them, but have you faced them? That's the question. These things are coming up, and you can't pretend that they didn't happen. You don't want to deal with all of that now and break out all that right now during this time, but you have to kind of touch upon it a little bit to make yourself feel a little bit better, because there's a saying that says, that which you resist persists. And that's something that really resonated with me, because there were times when, I knew something was bothering me and I just let it go, pretend it never happened. My whole thing with me is that for my whole life, I've been trying to prove myself to other people, whether it was sports, relationships, jobs, anything like that. I was always trying to prove my worthiness to other people because I felt like I had to be accepted, because I felt like, I had to be great and a great friend because I needed their acceptance, or I had to be a hustling worker because I needed to prove that they knew that I was a hard worker. I was always trying to prove different things. I don't know if you guys have ever felt like that, but it's all about that. And that was an issue for me for so long, dealing with that, trying to prove myself. And what happened is that I became frustrated. I became burnt out. I started taking it out on my family. I would lose my temper with my kids. I would snap at my husband. I was living on 4 hours sleep too on top of it. So I'm dealing with the, sleep deprived and frustrated and burnt out at the same time. And it'll snowball because I never dealt with the problem. I just kept resisting it. And so that started to change until I finally said, enough is enough. And one day you're going to get to that. And maybe you have already. Maybe you have gotten to that point where enough is enough. And so what I decided to do is that I've decided to start going to therapy. And if you guys haven't gone, I'm telling you, you need to go, because it's going to open your eyes up to so many different things, because not just the advice that they give, but because you're actually hearing yourself talking about something that maybe you haven't talked about. And you hearing yourself actually puts it into your mind like, okay, this did happen. You know what I mean? Like this is not something that's made up. Like this is something that happened. And so the problem is that I was always trying to prove my worth to all these different people rather than understand that I was worthy. So that's the difference that I want to bring to you guys, is that stop trying to prove your worth. Understand that you are worthy. You don't have to keep trying to prove things. So what I want to ask you guys is, are you happy with the person that you are? Are you? Can you sit there in the mirror and say, you're a damn good person. I like you. You're a good person, Because for a long time, it's hard to say, even for me to admit, I didn't like that person. And you think that's weird because people are always like, oh, you make me smile on TV. You did this and you did that and you brighten my day and you brighten my day. That was my job. All this time, what I understand after it is that I wasn't trying to prove my worth to my job. I wasn't trying to prove my worth to my friends. I wasn't trying to prove my worth to relationships or anything. I wasn't trying to prove that. What I was trying to prove was something deeper inside. I was trying to prove to the people that hurt me when I was younger that they didn't affect me. And I would have never realized that if I didn't go to therapy, if I didn't talk to somebody about it. We can't keep these things inside. You have to bring them out. And that's the only way is how you're going to believe in yourself again, is if you face what's really affecting you inside, because we all kind of know it in a way, but we never face it. So that's one of the things, I was always trying to prove that, but really I was trying to prove to those people who hurt me when I was younger that they're not affecting me, that they didn't hurt me, that I was okay, that I survived. So this whole time trying to prove, what I really learned to do was to accept it, for what it was. Was it right what happened to me? And I'm not going to get into that right now, but was it right? No, it wasn't right what happened to me. But is it right to stay angry about it? Is it right to, keep feeling this anger inside of you and let it burn you up and bring you down and not make you the person that you're really supposed to be? No, it's not. So you accept it, and then you move forward with it, and you take that fuel, that fire, and you use that for something better. Use it to fulfill you even further, to influence, to inspire other people, but what you can't do is you can't let it define you. Don't let what happened to you in the past define you of how you are now, how you expect to be in the future, because you don't want to feel sorry for yourself. You don't want to feel like a victim. You don't want to do that. And you don't want to use it as an excuse, okay? Because I see a lot of people, because of things that happened to them in the past, that they use it as an excuse as to why they can't move forward, that they're a victim of their environment. And you're not. You can move forward because you have the choice to move forward. So you can choose to stay feeling sorry for yourself, or you can choose to move forward and feel better and help inspire others and teach them how to feel better. Exactly what I'm doing right now. Every day we have this choice to wake up and believe in how we want to believe in how we see ourselves, If you're not believing that right way right now, hey, tomorrow's another day. You still got tomorrow. But you have that choice to make. So don't let what happened to you in the past define who you are now or who you plan to be in the future, because you do that. You define that and you make that choice. I left a job because I felt like I was being taken advantage of, that I was underappreciated, that I love to make people smile, and that part of the job was taken away from me. And so I decided to step aside, and it was a tough decision to make, but it's something that I needed to do for me, to feel better about myself, to feel better with my family. It was less stress on me mentally and physically, because I was living on 4 hours sleep. When you kind of get to that point and you're just like, okay, all right, I'm here. I don't work here anymore. Now you start thinking about regrets. Like, did I do the right thing? Did I do the right thing? That starts going through your head at the same time. Who am I? For so long, you're this person that everyone imagines you to be, and you decide to change to feel better about yourself. And then you're kind of like, well, damn, who am I now? You're the same person. You are the same person. So what you have to start thinking about is your past success. Like when you're starting to doubt yourself, when you want to believe in yourself again, you have to start thinking about your past success, Then you start thinking like, hey, I used to sit there and be like, hey, I raised 2 kids. They're pretty good. And they're still here with me, success. You have to start thinking that way, Hey, I was nominated for an Emmy. Like, hey, there were so many different things that I did. I made people smile, So how can I use those different things? Hey, I've lost 50 pounds and maintained it for the past 15 years. Like, those are little things that I started to take and say, okay, how can I use that and help that to move me forward? So what I started to do was thinking, okay, I love talking to people. Like, here what I'm doing right now, I love talking to you guys. Like, this is what I love doing. I love telling you about different things. So what I can do now is I can use that experience that I've had, because going live is no big thing for me. I did it for so many years, it's what I do. But being able to bring that smile back to people's faces, to help you through those hard times, to give you advice on how to make a healthy lifestyle stick, to do all these different things, to give young girls and boys advice on how to overcome different obstacles and turn it into something positive and something that you can do at colleges, universities, at organizations. That's what I want to do. I want to be on that stage. I want to write that book. That's what I want to go for. So you have to kind of look at it that don't regret what happened. Think about what it's going to turn into. So that's what you have to do. Keep moving forward. And a last thing I did is that I started to visualize myself in that role because it was a new role for me. Being a motivational speaker was something new. Like I've spoken at different events before, but this is something a little bit new. So I started to visualize myself and think about myself in that way. I started reading books, from different speakers that I look up to, watching their videos, every day in my journal. I write down what I'm grateful for. I write down a good deed I'm going to do for the day. And then I write down every day, I am a successful and confident speaker who everyone wants to work with. And that's what I write down every day in my book. So you start to visualize it. And then I started to create my own materials. I started to gain that confidence, believing in myself, believing that that's what I could be. And I started visualizing myself, talking about myself. And so I would put it out there like, hey, this is what I'm doing now. And sure enough, I booked my first corporate engagement. I mean, if you believe it inside of you and you do everything you can to act like that's what you want to do, surround yourself with those people, those inspirations, their words, their videos, be motivated that way. Talk like as if you are that thing that you want to be. Act like it. It will start to happen. Just before, and then coronavirus happened and no one had speaking engagements anymore. So that's another story, but you twist it, you hit a roadblock and you move in a different direction. Hey, maybe digital course. So that's really what about it is. And lastly, this is my number 5th thing, is to stop thinking about what other people think. I did that for a long, long time. And even after I left my last job, it was always like, oh, what are people going to think? Like, what are they going to say? What are they going to do? Like, it was all these things that always got into my head, and I felt like I needed to do something to post to social media so that people can be like, oh, I guess she's okay, so then people wouldn't be like, oh, she left and she's a loser. That really did affect me for a bit. I gotta tell you, after I started moving on and I got a gig in radio, like I didn't say anything for the longest time because I was like, oh my gosh, what are people gonna think? Like, she's going to radio, like she's lost it, she's going downhill. But meanwhile, I really enjoy it. It's fun. Like, they're great people too, and it's a place where I'm appreciated. So I got to that point where I was like, screw it. Because you know what? The people that you were worried about, who you're trying to impress, or you're worried about what they think, they could care less about you. Let me just tell you that. They're probably not even thinking about you. And if they are, if they're sitting there with their friends or their significant other and chatting about you, how you're a loser, well, you know what? They're miserable people, and just leave them alone. Okay, that's it. Stop worrying about what other people think. That's it, guys, because here's the thing. We all deal with setbacks, right? We all deal with setbacks, but it's really about your comeback, your greatest comeback. That's what most people will remember. And that's what you will most cherish, because that will be one of your hardest things to overcome, is that setback. And once you do and you make that comeback, you will be so proud of that. Thank you so much for listening to my story. Like I said, one day maybe I will open up and tell you, but that was just a little sliver, a little taste in some of the things that I've been dealing with and how I've moved past, and how I'm happier now than I've been in the longest time, and it feels really good. So you can feel that way too. So just stop ignoring things that have been bothering you, because like we said, that which we resist persists, and it will keep persisting. All right. Have a good night, guys. Love you. Thanks.